Hey guys, I got an idea. Why don't we film the opening of an episode that I've already shot, and let's do it when the power's been out for 2.5 days, and I got no power in either shop, the one here in Nonstop Action, Acton, California, Cultural Capital of the World, or the one in Malibu, California, Cultural Capital of the World, because there's all these fires going on and they're shutting the power off because it's windy. Okay, while I'm here, I'm going to give you an update on these fires. I live 52 miles north of Los Angeles. So if you think that these fires are in downtown Los Angeles, the whole area is burned down. That's not it. And up here where I live, I have fires out here every year, but they're grass fires. So if you keep your stuff away from the building, you're going to be okay. But down there where these fires are taking place now is where people have built houses and developments up into the interface of the wildland. So you got urban wildland interface and those trees and shrubs and deep leaf mats and all that kind of thing. Yeah, so I have never seen it this bad in the 20-some years I've been in California. And in all seriousness, there are people out there that need your prayers because they have literally lost everything. And now you're hearing about insurance companies calling you while you're looking at the fire down the street, canceling your policy. I don't want to get into what's happened with me, but I've dealt with that already way out here. People are getting out of the insurance business in California like some people are getting out of the archtop business at yard sales. So today's episode is when you're looking at one of these at a yard sale and you're thinking, I can glue this back together. I checked on the internet. I got hundreds of dollars sitting here, and most people can work on these, because if Ken can work on them given his limited talent, I sure can. So I've given you some tutor episodes about the truth about Econo archtops, so I'm going to have a playlist up there. But now we're going to advance that a little bit. We're going to ask ourselves, well, we're going to buy one of these things. I've already got it in your brain. Is there a reason you're paying $400 and $500 for something that needs a $500 neck reset? So in other words, even if I get it for $3, I'm going to have $8 into it, and I'm going to be able to sell it for $4 or $5 at the end. There's not good economics in that. So let's cut to the chase. If I'm buying something and I'm looking at the neck, what is the most important thing that's going to inform me when I take that neck off, put it back on, change some angles? What is the most important thing? And I'm going to tell you that. Kind of like if you're trying to get from across a river or a canyon, it's not what you're driving that's important. It's that bridge you got to go across. This is a bridge. See that? So the bridge on a guitar, on an arched top, is really important because it presses down. It's got to give you brake coming off of the tailpiece. It's usually a floating tailpiece, so you got to have a certain amount of brake or the guitar sounds dull, which is why most of these Model 1215s with this usually do. They're not crisp. But anyway, it's that bridge. So what we're going to look at today is the neck was off of this. Look at the finish on this. This has come a long ways. You're going to catch some of that in the last episode. This episode will be in the playlist up there. But what we're going to talk about today is when we glue this on, you're going to need to know what this angle is in comparison to where this bridge is going to sit here, and how to pick that out without getting hundreds of dollars in it and ending up with a marginal result. You want to have a pretty good result when you start off with these. So I'm going to give you about 10 more reasons right now why you should leave that guitar you're thinking about buying at the yard sale for me. So I went down the other day and spent about 6.5 hours on a trip that should have took me 4 max, and I picked up an arch top that you'll see in a future episode that is basically a single pickup version, same builder, same everything as the 6535, the K value leader that turned into number 12 and was Detroit by Troy Murrah. Anyway, I picked it up. It has some issues. We'll go over that. And the guy says to me, I feel like I'm looking at a celebrity. I know you. I watch your channel. In fact, you're the reason I watched your videos that I decided that this repair wasn't going to turn out well for me financially. So I don't know what to feel about that. It's kind of like he's saying, well, thanks for me not wasting a bunch of money, and you're still stupider than I am. It's one of them dilemmas in life where you really want to do the right thing. It's like, you know, the new car, the brand new Cadillac, or one of those Cybertrucks or whatever you think you want, that vehicle that you just know wife is just going to freak out if you bring it home. Anyway, imagine that vehicle and how much you want it. And then imagine your mother-in-law inside it going off a cliff. Those are life's dilemmas. Now, let me get to the bench and show you why you should not do what I do routinely. How's that for an idea? Okay, guys. This is going to be more about bridges than you'd ever care to know. And I snuck it in on this episode because, well, I always do that. It keeps you watching for new content. So let's get the blessing out of the way. Yeah. Cry when it's over. You will take something out of this that's useful, I guarantee you. So we got the, as I said before, the herringbone harmony, the mangled Monterey. Yeah. And if you remember in the last episode, we refretted the neck and talked a lot about this finish and what we wanted to do with that. So right up there, right about now. So we're going to glue the neck on, right? We have sanded, we have chiseled, we have everything. We've done the pilot hole here because I'm going to put a bolt through the neck, an Allen head bolt, and I need to make sure that it goes through everything I need it to, and there's some different size things and Forstner bits and all that. So I've drilled that, and yes, we still have the back of it off because we're going to need to access this part right here to get that T-nut in there that I'm talking about. So first thing we want to do is we are going to figure out what the neck angle is. And we have some hide glue heated up. You see the no, that's not what it is. We're not pulled over by the side of the road. Yeah, no. It would definitely be a gallon jug if that were the case, or at least a Gatorade bottle, right? Okay, so we're going to put this piece of wood here where the top part of the guitar is elevated. How's that neck angle? I think that's better, and we'll pull this over this way just a tad. There we go. Because I'm going to want to put the neck on here, and I don't want the neck on a rest. And I want to make sure that I look at the neck, and when I push it down, make sure there's no gap there, and the neck hangs at the angle it's going to hang, like that, right? Okay, so we'll pull this back again. This part of the neck is elevated where this is not. That makes sure that the neck is going to dangle off there and give us the maximum slopage. That's the word. In dirt it's called angle of repose. By the way, in my scrambling around here, this is a T-nut. Do you see that it has holes for chick-tail screws, and that this is threaded and this insets in something? So what we'll do, we'll just start over here again. See, that neck fits good. Good is the, better is the enemy of good. But once we get everything put on here, wherever that hole comes through, that pilot hole, we will take this and embed it in here with a Forstner bit so it sits down in there, and then we can hold it like that. So once everything is glued together, then we can just put this, and this acts kind of as a keeper, you see. So the idea here is this fits in. If you go start drilling this stuff and you don't think it out, you're going to end up having everything off kilter. So this part right here, that'll be the last part you drill. If you go in and you don't have a pilot hole for your Forstner bit to sit into, then this will waller all over the place, and then everything will be pressured. And this is stuff you want to think about before, certainly not after. There's going to be a number of repeats of that theme in here. Remember, we're going to put electronics and all that in here. We've already done all of this, as you saw in episode 2, reassembly. Now, let's pick this up. Gonna get it right back where I started from. Oh, who sang that song? Who cares? It's a matter that's in your head now. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Okay, let's figure out the bridge. The bridge, you say, before we put the neck on? Of course, you don't think about it after, and here's why. We're going to take the heavy metal of Nuns smack the back of your hand rulers. This thing is heavy, and it's a straight edge, and it stands up like so. And it actually pushed the front down, which is okay. But I'm going to pull this back, and the frets are okay. It's not been set yet all the way. I want to keep this like this. I take my handy dandy bean bag and put it right here, certainly not in the way of where the bridge is going to go, which again is back of the nut, center of the 12th fret, center of the 12th fret to there. The bridge on this one goes up here, which would shoot the theory that it goes here out the window. So without anything on it, strings, nothing, the frets, I'm looking down the slope of this thing. I'm not seeing any major gaps. So this straight edge tells us the bridge is going to end up right there. Top of bridge needs to be about right there. If your bridge is way down here, if it's way up here, not good. So figure out a bridge that's going to fit right there. And I want to tell you something right away. You can buy bridges like this all day long. Okay? You can cut this part down. You can cut this part down. You can notch this right here. Some of these aren't notched. So you can gain the thickness of this right here by notching this out. Be careful notching this out, because if you get this wrong, it will crack right there. Same thing if you try to set this down into the foot, same thing. But if we look at this, how's that camera angle? If I look at this right, you see that? Can you see this right there? Before I start doing anything, thumb wheels are all the way down. Don't come in adjusting it with it way up here and then wondering what went wrong once all the glue settles. But I've got everything set all the way down. I want to make sure that there's nothing sticking out of here, because if I go to sanding this off and there's metal there, you'll ruin the top of the arch top. But I'm going to set that there. I'm looking at it here. But you can see I would have to take this bridge down right there right away just to even start. And if I raise it any at all, the string action is going to be high. Why do we do neck resets? That's because the string action isn't right. So configurations of bridges. Pneumatic bridge. They can come on any number of bases, metal or studded. Sometimes they sit down in the body of a solid body, but same thing. You have thumb wheels. Set all of that down as low as you can get it. Make sure there's no gaps. Make sure that these aren't crooked. You adjust them. But pneumatic, this kind of bridge, and then sometimes you've got this stuff that's way out there, like there's every kind of bridge you'd want here. Every color of wood. It's got everything inset already on the thumb wheels, and then it's got a piece of bone or something up here. God knows what it is. So you can do all kinds of things like make noise outside my window and ruin this fine photo shoot. But there's different configurations of bridges. There's also studs that go into these things, and this one has a screwdriver set up, and you can see what's happened is broken. This one has an Allen wrench set up, and you can adjust these like so, back and forth. Again, the ones that have holes in the bottom, they go all the way through. Make sure that that metal doesn't come out this hole, because you'll be cutting your sandpaper on your disc sander and whatever. Also, if your guitar doesn't matter that much, or it's yours and you just want to play it, if you want to mark the center of the base of the bridge, go ahead and do that. That way when you know where everything goes and you set it on there, it's like that. Your bridge base needs to match the curvature of the arch top, and you've seen me do that. Sandpaper here, tape it down, back and forth. If you get a one section that's here, it makes contact here and one here, and the rest of it doesn't make contact, well, guess what? That string action, especially at the bridges higher, is going to push down, and that's how you get these cracks, especially along the tone bars. That's how that happens. So again, pick the ones that have the Allen wrench adjustment. Okay, if you do arch tops, you're going to want to collect these. You're going to have a ton of them, because you end up making your bridge all the time. You see, I'm trying to find one in here that's got the hole in the bottom so you can see what I'm talking about. But I've got a ton of these. Save them. If you go into a store, a guitar parts store, a repair store, or somebody selling stuff, this is what you want, because you're going to need them, and the one you need you never have, so you need to make your own. So we've talked again about different configurations. You remember that. How's the short-term memory? Okay. So, will any of these fit what I want to do? Let's talk about the economics of these bridges. Okay, we're going to get our setup here. Now, I can order these all day long. It came in. We see that we're going to have to take, looks to me, 6 or 7 millimeters off the top before we even start doing that. Anything, do we take it off the top? No, we don't want to take it along that edge, because that edge is graduated. You see, it not only curves this way, but it's offset in how it's supported and everything. Different level strings, different placements. So they try to compensate that right away. So if I go in and use this one, I'm going to have to take the equivalent of that either off of there or here. This one will work, a lot of work, very cheap. I get a brand new compensated bridge that is a tune-o-matic bridge. Those things are usually sitting up there pretty high. That's one consideration. But let's look at this. I got the perfect bridge. It is compensated. You can see where the strings go. Curves one way. And they're bigger. The slots are bigger. Biggest string, small string. This is a Bakelite bridge from the 30s. And what do you know? Oh my, I've got this much room right away, and everything is bottomed out. This thing is perfect, and it fits right to the bridge. Guess what? This bridge is worth $200. This guitar did not start off being worth $200. So the sheer economics of that, when you price a guitar at $1,200 and you're saying, yeah, but it's got a $2,000 bridge. Yeah, but. There is no yeah, but. This doesn't make sense for this kind of a guitar. Always ask for the parts if you're buying up these old guitars, because sometimes they have them laying around, even the pieces. Look at this one. A lot of room to adjust this one here. See, studs are too long. We need to adjust it. Oh, there's about 3 millimeters that it could come up immediately. This one's good to go. This is another $100, easy. Old ebony wood, good hardware. Yeah, the economics rule that one out. I like this one. It's got something fancy right there. Well, guess what? Nobody cut this one down right here for the notches, and if I am going to use this one, it's got to come down a little bit. So I either got to take it off the bottom here, or I would cut it down a little bit here. Again, don't cut the top. Do not cut the top. You're going to screw everything up there. This kind of stuff, this inlaid stuff, is expensive. That one is new. It's graduated. What do we got there? Look how much that one. Have to take half of this off to right here to make it work. So what works? Well, I got into my box of bridge bases, and I got into my pieces of tune-o-matic bridges. These are cool because you can adjust the individual strings to get the intonation just right. And what do you know? Oh, it just barely fits under there. This is the bridge I'm going to use. There we go. Any questions? Yell them really loud, because this episode at some point will be a year old and I may not hear you. Alright guys, back on the bench. All that gibberish up at the front end. Bless you for listening to it. Anyway, you have your agency. Exercise it. Anyway, we talked about all these different kinds of bridges last time, the economics of it all, the configuration of them, which ones make most sense, but we figured out that the most important thing to glue the neck on is making sure that the bridge that you're going to use is considered. So, one more time, we have a space here because the back of the guitar is still off. We are going to put a T-nut in this guitar neck once everything is glued on. We are going to use hide glue, which is heating up right now, and we've used this straight edge after we refretted the neck, and we've determined that this is just right. So let's glue the neck on. Okay, a few things we're going to need. We're going to need a couple clamps like this, and we're going to need a couple pieces of leather. And it would be handy if we had a piece of wood or two. Now, as I told you in the last episode, we are going to get the neck up off of the bench. We don't want it resting in a neck stand like this or anything like this. We want the neck to be hanging with its weight at the angle it's going to be hanging. So you look down here and you see, is that neck up against the body? Are there any gaps? You've done all that already. Everything is here. You've looked at the height of your bridge. You've got everything bottomed out, so you're starting off low, and the only way to go is up. If you have to go down and there's nowhere to go, that's why people reset necks. These handy, heavy duty nurse ratchet whap, pay attention, straight edges are the best if you can find one. I'd prefer if you paid the shipping on it instead of me. And remember, the back is still off. We're going to put a T-nut in the head block up here, and everything is going to be good. We've got the hide glue heating up. Let's talk about that for a minute. Okay, the hide glue is hot. How hot? Well, ideally, you want it when you're applying it to be between 140, oh, it is hot, and 145. How do you know? Well, the water that's around it right now is the same, and I've got one of these. So I set it at 145, which is halfway between 150 and 160. This usually goes in a turkey. Wait until after Thanksgiving, because if you do it before, you're going to get busted. After Thanksgiving, you say, I don't know. Anyway, you want to keep this at 145. Now, if it drops below 145, that means that you're going to have to heat it up again. You can just keep your hide glue heater over here, whatever that is. It can be a rice cooker. It can be something fancy. But keep your hide glue in your refrigerator, because hide glue will get moldy if you leave it out. Look at that. Clean one owner. I'm going to put copious amounts of glue right there. I don't need it on the top of the guitar. Now, why do you use hide glue? Well, if you blow it and you're doing your neck, your very first neck reset, there's a likelihood that that could happen, okay? Now, you'll notice that right there appears to be a little shim. That's because there is. I put a shim there. We're going to pay heavy-duty attention to that area right there, okay? And I'm going to put some up here. You see where that is? I can put some of that there. Did I take a piece of sandpaper and get all that fancy garbage that I put on here to make this thing as shiny as it is? Of course I did. Do I have hot water to put on a paper towel so I can squeeze things out when it leaks out of the side on this fine finish? Yes, I do. So, you see there's a little hole right there. That's the pilot hole for the neck bolt setup. We're gonna put. I know, you're freaking out there because you are the expert, my man, or whatever you are. Okay, copious amounts. I already said that. Now I'm going to go in on the neck itself. You want to remember, hide glue is not a filler. You don't put a bunch in there and act like it's putty or caulking or anything like that. Okay. I also have a little bit of a piece of binding that's trying to pop out of there, if I recall. I'm going to put a little bit of that in there just for the sake of it. Notice I didn't say the H word. I'm saving up those points to drop the F-bomb. Anyway, get everything out of the way here. And now we are going to drop this neck onto here. There we go. Let me get this clamped up now. Oh, I have such the awesome tripod. So, I'm going to put a piece of leather here, up here. See that? Then I'm going to take one of these clamps that you never have enough fingers for, and I'm going to put it on this side of the fingerboard, and I'm going to push it down like so. I'm going to let it lay against there like that, and I am just going to tighten it up just a little bit. Bring the other one down a little bit like that. Open this clamp up. And do the same thing. Don't just sit there. Help me. Help you. Help me to help you. Help you, help you. Okay. Okay, something else this leather works good for is to fold it in half, put it up here on the heel of the neck, and then we can take and put this clamp here and go in a bit, screw it on a head block, and then this is going to try to slip away from the body. Let me show you. So you just do a little bit of that, and it keeps everything tilted the right way. So we're pushing down and we're keeping that angle right. You see that? Now it's not going to hurt me to get out the neck stand here and set it all like this, because it will keep its angle and the pressure right where it needs to be. But hopefully I won't have to stand here for 10 years. Well, hide glue heats up faster than that, and I'm glad I got this done, because now the temperature is down to 120 on the hide glue heater. Now we will just wait for glue to dry. Alright guys, this neck has been on here for a number of days, and we went through a lot of effort making sure we got the frets done and all that kind of stuff. They're still going to need some final finishing and whatever, but we don't want to be beating on frets if the neck is off. We don't take the neck off to beat on frets, but that's it. Okay, so let's take a look at how this turned out. First off, you'll notice that we had leather on everything, and we had wood on everything, and there was a clamp running from the head block to the heel of the guitar. Let me show you. I don't know if you'd seen this before, but if you take, yeah, look, You see that? If you use your coals for sanding the radius onto everything, you'll have those in your sanding coal. You don't want that. And next thing to think about is the heel of the guitar right here. If it starts to come up while this is heating, or not heating, but hardening up the glue, drying. Because we clamp it here, it's going to want to come down here. If there's any give here, that means the neck is going to come up like this. So if you have the heel here stabilized to this, or even if you don't have the back of the guitar off, coming way back here, where's Chick Flick Teal Pointer? Coming way back here with a spring clamp, then this will stay pulled down and help you keep that downward neck angle a little bit. And the easiest way to do that is, while I'm here, I'm going to show you this neck heel has this shape. You see that right there? Let's move this forward. It's got this shape. You can put a piece of paper underneath that when the guitar is laying flat, like we do the neck or the headstock, and trace that out, whatever that is, and then lay that flat on a piece of paper and cut it out, and then you can put it on the end of a block. I got way too much going on here, guys. You can tell I've been doing finish work too. You can lay that on the end of a block and basically cut out that heel shape like this. See that? That way, when it comes time to glue everything, you simply put a piece of cork paper, adhesive cork paper, even a thin piece of leather, and you put it right there like that. You see that? And you've got a clamping surface that you can adjust by how you bevel that V. So if the V gets bigger that way, put it on that way, whatever, but you get a flat clamping surface right here. See that? And that's going to help you out a ton. Now, in the end, the measure of what we want to do is simply this. I want to put the bridge that I figured I would use, I want to put it where it goes, and I want to take my straight edge and lay it on the frets. There's no nut, and I want that to just clear that bridge when it's at its lowest setting. And it surely does. We are in business. Now, as long as we don't flex the back and do all kinds of crazy stuff to change the angle, we're going to be in good shape. That's going to be pretty easy to do, because we want to remember that the kerfing on this one of the configuration is one of them things where it, at least a portion of it, sticks up off the side of spurs. These are called spurs. Sticks up off the side enough to become part of the channel for the binding, and that means that the back of the guitar rides the very outside edge of the kerfing and doesn't line up with this. So as long as we can gauge this with a piece of binding as we're gluing it back up and clamping it, we're going to be in business. Shoop, there it is. Oh, I love it when the neck angle is like that, and you can see that the strings are going to go on there, and you can see that there's room for a low profile pickup right there. Yeah, you thought you were going to fall to the floor, weren't you? No workman's comp cases on my bridges, on my watch. Anyway, guys, I'm going to end this one here. The next one is going to deserve its own episode because, like I said there at the end, this design incorporates the kerfing as part of the binding channel. So we're going to make sure everything's okay. I think I'm going to do a little product demonstration when it comes time to soldering, and then we still got a lot of French polishing to do. So the spray paint patrician and the mangled Monterey can sit there and have their own beauty contest, and so somebody comes to the guitar pound and rescues them. Don't forget there's a playlist on this guitar running up there, and something else that will completely and utterly disamaze you. See you soon on this one. You can turn it off now. You gotta watch those ads at the end for me to get my $2 every month. Come on.